This is 7 News, the voice of the coast.
Tonight, paramedics raise the alarm for a pay rise which would bring them in line with other states.
Hundreds hit the streets in Ballina with a simple message: enough is enough.
I'm Daniel Gibson. Later on this news hour, the driver in that horror crash that killed 5 teens sentenced to 12 years behind bars. And Border Force on high alert, the blunt warning to deter boats.
7 News begins now.
Good evening. From midnight last night, most regional paramedics are no longer registered to provide healthcare.
It's hoped the collective action taken by union members will bring pay levels for paramedics in line with other states.
None of these Nambucca Heads paramedics have renewed their registration with the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency. Their boycott means they will be unable to perform life-saving clinical tasks from the 1st of January when late renewal time runs out.
As of today, we are not allowed to call ourselves paramedics.
They are working with crippling workforce shortages.
We're in crisis. The decisions need to be made now before we run out of paramedics in New South Wales. We're losing 600 paramedics every 6 months.
Skilled shortages impacting both their safety and ability to save lives.
More single paramedics being asked to respond on cases, which is fraught with danger. All of this year, we've been nearly twice as many incidents of paramedics having occupational violence against them.
The staff losses and their boycott are all about the pay gap with other states.
They're getting at least $20,000 more, and Queensland has been publicising in the last week or so about a $20,000 incentive for you to relocate to Queensland.
University graduates straight out of university can go and work in any other state in Australia and earn more than me with my experience, and that's really disheartening.
267 paramedics work between Foster and Woolgoolga.
60% of the North Coast paramedics have joined this action, but united with them is 100% of helicopter paramedics from bases at Lismore, Tamworth and Belmont.
Their boycott has led to negotiations.
We do agree that our paramedics need to be paid more, but let's also be very, very clear. This industrial action that is threatened to take place on New Year's Eve would cripple O services.
More talks to come. Claire Simmons, 7 News.
South Murwillumbah businesses are calling out for support after fire ants were detected in the area on Saturday. While they've been given the all clear from the Department of Primary Industry to operate, they say there's no customers walking through the doors.
They might be small, but these pests are causing a lot of concern.
I was devastated for our businesses, for our community that are just getting over the 2022 flood, and we're just getting back on our feet. So for our community, this is a really big thing. Red imported fire ants were detected in South Murwillumbah 6 days ago. A 5-kilometre radius has since been set up around the nest site in the industrial park.
We have to treat 6 times with 12 weeks in between each of those rounds. So there's a couple of years, and then after that we have to then make sure there's none left.
The ants are believed to have come from Queensland following a detection 5 kilometres from the border in Tallabudgera.
This is a very serious problem, and it can only get worse if it's not properly controlled.
Today a community meeting was held for farmers and locals in the hope of stopping the ants from spreading further.
Those growers in the zone are quite nervous, of course. The big thing is that when our cane season starts again next year, our harvest season starts, we really hope that the situation's under control.
We've got lots of ants. We want to make sure that we're recognising the wrong type.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see just how small they are. It's really fascinating.
Businesses say the detection has impacted sales and are urging the community to shop local.
Some of them have already had costs of over tens of thousands of dollars losses already from a few days closures. So it's important we support our local community.
Elise Holden, 7 News.
A 39-year-old man has died following a 2-vehicle crash in Woodburn. Emergency services were called to the Pacific Highway around 7 o'clock last night. Paramedics worked to treat the 39-year-old, but he died at the scene. The driver of the other vehicle, a 23-year-old man, was taken to Lismore Base Hospital in a critical but stable condition. Police are continuing to investigate the cause of the crash, and a report is being prepared for the coroner.
Thousands of Australians have taken to the streets across the country today, calling for an end to domestic and family violence. The peaceful walks began in Ballina 5 years ago and have since become an annual tradition.
Marching for a cause.
Break the silence! Don't be a bystander! It's all about!
More than 500 locals stepped out and spoke up today, aiming to raise awareness around domestic and family violence.
It's physical violence, sexual violence, but it can also be other non-physical behaviours such as controlling and coercive behaviour that essentially keeps someone trapped in the relationship.
DV affects every 1 in 4 women and 1 in 8 men.
Around 60 women have been killed so far this year by men known to them. And that figure hides the true reality of what's actually happening.
The walk is aimed at stopping domestic and family violence for good and encouraging victims to be brave, speak up and find support.
Purple is a colour that our Rotary Club did choose, and purple is associated with bravery. This is about showing victims that we're there to support. We are a voice, and it's very, very important that men step up, don't be bystanders, call out inappropriate behaviour.
The annual walk began in Ballina 5 years ago and has since expanded to the rest of Australia.
I went to a funeral service of a lady known to me. She was killed by her partner, and I remember thinking at the service, what could I do in Ballina to make Ballina a safer place for women and children?
And if you need support, help is available.
You are not alone, and I would encourage you to call one of the support hotlines for advice.
Elise Holden, 7 News.
And if you or anyone you know needs support, you can contact 1800 RESPECT. That's 1800 737 732.
The big man in red has made a pit stop ahead of Christmas. Visiting locals in Lismore today, Santa took to the main stage in the CBD as his winter wonderland came to life. Families and children are encouraged to come down and have a photo with the jolly man himself, and of course enjoy a range of activities from carols to elf hunts and creative workshops on offer. Decorations have also returned to Lismore following last year's floods.
Students at Cundletown Public School have adopted some of the Calvary aged care residents as their local grandparents. Each week, the students and residents come together, providing connection to both the residents and the kids whose grandparents have died or have moved away.
Showing that friendship has no age limit.
How much do you like us coming here, do you reckon?
Good.
From a scale to 1 to 10?
Yes.
10 being the best?
Yeah.
10?
Yep.
Yep. That sounds good.
Cundletown Public School students have adopted residents at Calvary Aged Care Home as their local grandparents, coming in once a week, learning and connecting with the elderly residents.
Just like any other grandparents would, they're just really nice to talk to and really gentle. And I just love hearing all their stories that they've had.
Residents with dementia have benefited the most, with the children bringing back their sense of self.
Like Lance, he's told me he's built a 50-foot yacht with just him and his wife back when he was only young.
The program was initiated by manager Michelle McKenna, whose own children struggle being apart from their grandparents who live in the UK. It aims to create a bridge between the elderly and the youth, giving children whose grandparents have passed away that grandparent figure.
The children, they ask so many questions and they need that older person in their life.
Well, my grandparents on both sides, mum and dad, are in Victoria, and it's amazing to come here.
While the visits help the students to gain new perspectives, the residents feel like the lucky ones.
Yeah, that they make us brighter, a lot brighter.
While the kids will miss their weekly visits over Christmas, the program is expected to expand next year. Hannah Hartup, 7 News.
Well, as we head towards the end of the first day of summer, this year's seasonal bushfire outlook has now been released. The report notes that hot and dry conditions are expected to persist into the new year, with an increased fire risk across the North Coast. Vegetation growth supported by the previous rainfall will continue to dry out over the next couple of months, and that's going to increase fuel loads on the ground. Locals along the coast are urged to prepare for the bushfire season and monitor for local conditions.
Well, Danny joins us now for a look at today's weather. And Danny, it was fairly warm along the coast today.
It sure was, guys. Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you. Today, we saw another dry and pretty cloudy day across the region. We didn't even see a drop of rain in Coffs Harbour. In fact, In fact, clear skies across almost all of our coastline. Some light northeasterly winds around Port Macquarie. Temperatures in the low 30s, 32 degrees for Port, 33 in Kempsey. Coffs Harbour, you got to a top of, or you're getting to a top. No, you did get to a top of 32 today. We amber a top of 32 and 31 for Coolangatta. That warm weather should gather strength in the next few days before a bit of a change next week. I'll have all those details a little later, guys.
Sounds good. Thanks, Danny. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Still to come in 7 News, a free safety workshop for e-scooter riders to be held this weekend in Foster.
And Coffs Harbour refugee students perform a special cultural dance.
And a little later on this news hour, reactions from the families of 5 teenagers killed in that high-speed crash as the driver learns his fate. The dire warning to people smugglers after an influx of asylum seekers. And swim safety at the forefront after an alarming increase in adult drownings.
Welcome back. When refugee high school students get together to create their own story for a play, they promoted unity and peace. An expert theatre director led the diverse group from 2 schools through a writing and performance workshop.
Year 7 student Natalie Noawi performs a Cook Island cultural dance as part of a production developed by multicultural students. The young dancer had a few dance options to choose from.
I'm Cook Islander, Aboriginal and Dutch.
The 23 combined Arara and Jetty High School students brought together a range of cultures to the show. 14 are Iraqi refugees, 3 are from Myanmar, 2 from India, another 3 from Congo and Kenya.
We're just trying to give them an opportunity to have their voices heard, build skills and work together.
Adrian Lester, an expert theatre producer, guided them to develop their own show.
They came up with so much content, we've actually had to trim it back. It has been mind-blowing, it's been tear-jerking, there's been a whole bunch of laughs and it's just been really wonderful to see what they can do.
After trying to fit into a new culture, the young playwrights had strong feelings about their play's message.
Bringing people together is good.
Make this world a better place and make sure our voice is heard.
And some personal growth through the workshops.
Confidence, I've got more confidence, speaking on stage. I've got better.
New friends, that's for sure. Getting really more confident, showing where I'm from.
It's only the second time the Education Department's multicultural playwright program has run outside Sydney. Claire Simmons, 7 News.
There will be a free safety workshop for e-scooter riders this Saturday, with the 12-month trial set to start next Friday. The workshop will be held at John Wright Park between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m, with riders able to unlock the bikes with the Beam app. The e-scooter trial will run for 12 months, with riders 16 years and older able to ride.
Still to come in 7 News, go-karters prepare to vie for the title of the state's best in Taree.
And day 1 of the Senior State Cup gets underway in Port Macquarie. Welcome back. It's been a successful day for Port Macquarie teams on day 1 of the Senior State Cup. The locals have started impressively, while some international teams have used the event as a warm-up for next year's World Cup.
Port Macquarie men's 20s are off to a flyer at the Senior State Cup. 18 tries scored, 7 conceded and 3 wins from 3 matches to start their annual campaign. They will head into tomorrow's second day of action full of confidence.
Really good start. Coming from country champs, didn't win a game. A couple of the boys coming back really helped us out.
Led by Corey Lewis, the Makos hope they can replicate their success from 3 years ago when they took out the title. There'll be nothing fancy about their game plan.
But us country boys, we're fit, we can just run hard, so I think that's what it's down to.
Other Port Macquarie teams, including their mixed seniors, also had an impressive day out. They finished undefeated after a 5-3 win over Newcastle and a 6-1 triumph over Taree. The Mixed Masters also finished the day undefeated.
Pretty strong in the 3 mixed divisions. I think if they're going to have success, it'll be in one of those divisions.
And while the sun was shining, it provided challenging conditions for players, especially those who played in the morning heat. Port's men's 20s finished 3 from 3, but the same couldn't be said for England's men's open side. They're using the 3-day carnival as a warm-up for next year's World Cup in Nottingham.
So we've got a hell of an opportunity, I think, as a group to come over to Australia, spend some time playing against the best in the world and take some lessons back ahead of that.
They were beaten 11-4 by Parramatta and 8-7 by Hornsby in their first 2 games.
So it's great to come out and kind of see where we're at, get some small wins.
Other international teams from Singapore, the Philippines and Japan joined England in the trip to Port Macquarie. They will all headline finals day at the end of the weekend.
They're playing through the rounds, and then we'll have special international games where they'll play off against each other come Sunday morning.
Paul Jobber, 7 News.
The annual David Hamnet Go-Kart Memorial Championships will return to Wingham this weekend. Over 100 go-karters from across the state will battle it out on the track to come away with the title.
Engines are revving and drivers are zooming down the track. Getting ready for tomorrow's Hamnet Memorial Go-Kart meeting.
Yeah, we've been really well prepared. The place looks amazing thanks to all our volunteers, and it should be a really good day.
There are over 100 competitors from across the state. It's the biggest event the Manning Valley Kart Club has held this year.
Yeah, the drivers have come from all over the state. We've got people from Parkes, Canberra, Newcastle, and as well as about 20 to 30 local drivers.
Local karters, young and old, are ready to race. Training hard, they're hoping to lap up the day and score a win.
I'm real nervous, hoping to come away with the win.
I'm hoping to win, and I'm quite excited for it because I hope I can beat some boys out there.
Meet new people, racing with your friends and just having a good time on and off the track.
The finals are to be held under lights, bringing a great atmosphere to the meet, with the club looking forward to holding the state titles next year.
Next year we're slotted in to hold the state titles here at the Manning Valley Kart Club. It should be a really large event, hopefully around 200 plus drivers if all the grids are at capacity. So it should be a really big event for the club and for the area.
Hannah Hartup, 7 News.
North Coast surfers are starring at the National Junior Titles at Phillip Island. Woolgoolga's board riders Lila Freudenstein is just 12 years old, competing in the under-14 division. Lila won her second round heat but missed out on the quarterfinals. And Gowrie board rider Medora Barton scored a huge 8.5 but also didn't make the finals.
We've made new friends and we've learn new experiences, learn from our mistakes in the water. Like Medora said, I have made new friends and I've never been to Melbourne or Phillip Island.
They both plan to return next year for the national titles.
Still to come in 7 News, your local weather forecast is coming up next with Daddy. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Let's take a look at the surf report now, and a high pressure system is making its way towards us, keeping conditions settled on the water. For surfers on the North Coast, keep your expectations low. The water is looking pretty uneventful at 1 to 2 feet. Poor conditions for a Saturday surf sesh, cleaner in the morning but still not great. Things could look a little better at the end of next week though. A low pressure system over the Solomon Islands could be one to watch for possible decent surf next week. A different story on the mid-North Coast, as a low pressure system in the state's south heads out to sea. It should generate a few waves over the weekend. A fun south to southeasterly swell for some head height surf. For the boaters and fishers on the North Coast, seas around a metre from Point Danger to Wooleye. The chance of a thunderstorm tomorrow morning or afternoon. Winds reaching up to 20 knots offshore north of Cape Byron. Further south, it's a bathtub. Seas below a metre with a smidge of southerly swell, increasing to 1.5 metres off Port Macquarie. Variable 10-knot winds on a Sunday morning. Looking at the rest of that weather picture now, the low pressure system that's been generating all that rain in southern New South Wales is gradually moving out to sea. Meanwhile, a trough is currently crossing Queensland, resulting in some possible thunderstorm activity dipping into northern New South Wales. By Sunday, high pressure will keep most of the state dry. Hot easterly winds around Monday and Tuesday. That should keep our skies clear into the working week. Taking a look at the rainfall chart, there is just a small amount left on the radar, depending on whether that storm develops develops near the border tomorrow afternoon. At this stage, less than 5 millimetres from Port Macquarie to Ballina, spread out over the next 8 days. Saturday should be mostly sunny with a light breeze in the northern rivers. The mid-north coast could see a bit more cloud cover. Temperatures in the high 20s and low 30s, 28 degrees for Wauchope, Byron Bay a top of 27 and getting to 34 degrees in Lismore. Now, as we heard earlier, it should be pretty calm on the water, Byron and Coffs, only looking at a metre or so of swell and a north to northwesterly breeze. Not much action to our south either, that wind dropping right off in the evening. A sunny morning on Sunday as those clouds start to separate, reaching the high 20s and 30s for some, maybe the odd shower around Kempsey with a top of 29 degrees, 27 in Taree, Byron a top of 27 and Tweed Heads you're edging into the 30s as well. Then Monday, the start of our working week, we're actually looking at a little bit of a drop in temperatures around Nambucca Heads. At this stage, those showers are all bark and no bite, just a millimetre behind them. Another southeasterly breeze and a top of 24 degrees in Coffs Harbour, 32 degrees I should say for Lismore. And it looks like that trough from Queensland is actually keeping this week's weather pretty similar to last year despite El Nino conditions. Some are getting off to a bit of a slow start. That rain should hold off if you're wanting to get some Christmas shopping done this weekend. There's just 24 days left for that. And how scary is this, guys? 30 days until 2024.
It's creeping up very, very fast. In
I'm
fact,
not at all prepared.
No, I'm not prepared either. Danny, thank you.
And that's all we have time for tonight and for the week. Thanks for watching. You can catch up on our website or, of course, at 7plus.
Right now, Dan's got your national news. Enjoy your weekend and we'll see you on Monday at 6 o'clock.